Bag. I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and the producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow. I'm trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of our presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
Welcome black, welcome black, welcome black. I'm John Henry Harris. We have former Brown EMC. This is B1AG Daily Bread Podcast. We have I'm just gonna let Cherry Wallflower pretty much just give you my sentiment, because it very much does mirror my sentiment. They constantly on this BS. Hey y'all, the USDA is back in the news. They promised to study the discrimination that they have been doing against Black farmers in this country. Now, what they came up with is they're spending $1 billion, $1 billion to establish an equity commission. Now, this equity commission is going to address racial equity. They're going to establish an equity commission advisory committee, an equity commission subcommittee on ag, and USDA soliciting nominations for both. Now, from a press release by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, they announced that it will establish an equity commission and is requesting nominations for membership on the Equity Commission, Advisory Committee, and Equity Commission Subcommittee on Agriculture. The notice represents an important step towards implementing President Biden's commitment to create an equity commission in the American Rescue Plan Act provision that directs the USDA to address historical discrimination and disparities in the agricultural sector through one or more equity commissions to address racial equity issues within the USDA and its programs. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The USDA promises to study discrimination that they have purported. Farmer Brown, what do you got to say about this, man?
Sweet. First, I just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well today. You can almost put this same story on repeat from January. And so we were talking about the Farmers of Color Act. You know, what was this, about February? Oh, we're going to help these people. We realize we've done these studies and we realize that we've been doing you wrong. And it's almost as if you have the foxes doing a study on how all these chickens missing in this hen house. But today we're going to be codified. We're going to point out, what is spoken. We'll read verbatim what this particular study entails. And then, nope, not a dime. And so actually, if you get deeper into this, it gives them 12 months to think about this. When we think about the elder John Boyd Jr. and what he was talking about, we can't afford another 9 years kicking the can down the road. I'm not going to come in with shade. We're going to be codified today. We're going to look at what it says. We're going to match it up with the Farmers of Color Act and the debt relief. And then we'll add a little bit of our commentary and see where this goes. But I think this is definitely going to be a good discussion for the family to have. And hopefully we can contextualize this into some action items that us individuals can take in supporting our Black farmers.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I feel shady. I feel real shady right now. Because I'm tired. I'm tired of the BS. I'm tired of the rhetoric. How are you going to study disparity that you have handed out? How are you going to study discrimination that you have handed out? You're going to spend $1 billion. They're paying themselves to study, to so-called study how we have messed you over. And again, just like Cheery Wallflower pointed out, you still haven't even given these black farmers debt relief. But you're going to spend $1 billion to study how we screwed you over? Make it make sense to me. This is like the ultimate, like if there was an Olympic game for kicking the can, avoiding accountability, not handling the problem. This is like an Olympic game of that. Kicking the can 3,000.
And so when we think about the Farmers of Color Act 2021, this was enacted late winter, earlier this year. This is the 117th Congress to require the Secretary of Agriculture to provide assistance, not studies, assistance for socially disadvantaged farmers and ranchers and socially disadvantaged groups for other purposes. Within the 2501 program from 1990, the definition of these socially disadvantaged groups equates to African American, which Indian, Alaskan, Asians, Hispanics, Pacific Islanders, refugees, and immigrants. When we think about recent events, when we think about Afghanistan, so we are going to have a lot of new people coming into the nation that could be classified as political refugees. And so I'm not at any liberty to say if they'll be classified in this or not, but dealing with the usual suspects, we now have hundreds of thousands of more people that qualify under this vague concept of socially disadvantaged. But to read directly from the USDA announcement, and this is September 24th of this year, the USDA is soliciting nominations to consider membership on both the Equity Commission and the Subcommittee on Agriculture. Both seek to reflect a diversity in demographics, regions of country, background, and experience and expertise. The Equity Commission and Subcommittee on Agriculture will require substantial representation from those whose mission is to serve or advocate for underserved communities, minorities, women, individuals with disabilities, individuals with limited English proficiency, rural communities, and LGBTQI plus communities. Other perspectives to capture include those from the small business community, higher education institutions, farm worker groups, and members of the American population and communities who bring their personal experiences to the discussion. This is verbatim from the USDA, so there's actually more people involved now than the original goal of the Secretary to address the past discrimination that was addressed in the Farmers of Color Act.
Now, also from the USDA's press announcement, this is the Agricultural Secretary Tom Vilsack. He says the USDA is committed to advancing equity throughout our department. The Equity Commission is an important step in dismantling barriers historically underserved communities have faced in assessing USDA programs and services, especially with regard to access and inclusion in USDA agricultural programs and services. The Equity Commission will be an invaluable advisor on USDA's continuing march towards justice and equity. We look forward to receiving a wide-ranging and diverse set of nominations from this public to serve on this transformational commission. Now, this is from the Deputy Secretary, Jewel Bronaugh. She says, today truly is a historic day at USDA. We are serious about our efforts to end discrimination across all areas of the department and to improving access to services for key stakeholders. The American Rescue Plan supports USDA's effort to address equity issues through the creation of an equity commission. We understand the importance of involving the public in this process of continuing to build trust among our customers and ensure fair and equitable programming, benefits, and services. I said I'm feeling shady today. I'm gonna tell you like this. I wish I had that Thanos Infinity Stone glove so I can snap away all the bullshit.
Let's put it
If you
in.
want to end the discrimination, end it. If you want to make it more equitable, give these resources to these farmers who you've been denying for decades. If you want to be more transparent and you want to really make things more equitable, let these farmers who already have applications, they've had applications in for decades and longer, approve them. You don't need a commission for that. Approve the applications.
When there was a virus that some say, we're not giving medical information, some say was funded, from the West. When there was a virus, the world was ready to come together, and we need to address this sickness. To me, racism is a sickness, right? But we're ready now. We already have the plan in place to address this. We're already pouring hundreds of billions of dollars to address this that came in 1 year. This was 1 year. From your government, hey, we know that this has been happening for decades, but we really got to figure out how to make this work. I mean, I know in this office, some people were coming in these offices trying to get applications. Some people were coming in this office trying to get access to resources, access to subsidies to get their farm operations going. Because when we talk about B1AG and food production, we know healthy food can reduce some of these sicknesses that we were so ready to address in less than a year. Operation Warp Speed. So can we get that warp speed when it comes to making it rain on some of these melanated, specifically Black farmers? What I'm seeing is, okay, it turns into this thing. I'm going to use the struggle of this group of people to make it rain on everybody. When I think about these commissions, right? When I think about these commissions, I do ask the question, what is the purpose of the Congressional Black Caucus? We're not here to throw shade, but the Congressional Black Caucus has existed for years. And, just outside looking in, it seems like it's helping every other group but the one identified Black. I don't think you're going to go to any other ethnic lobby in the government and see them caping for melanated people, Aboriginal melanated people. You're not going to see that. If there's a Korean lobby, guess what? This is what Koreans want on this landscape called North America. If there is a Chinese, Asian, Indian, African, whatever part of the world that people are coming from, they're intentionally codified around, I want to make sure that this group of people that I represent are going to get what's due them. We're not sitting here talking about, hey, these farmers want some handouts. These farmers want to just sit back on their arse and get something for free. These are people that have been putting in the work without help. And it's not that we're sitting on here making this up. We've been covering this just for a year, but this discrimination, and I'm going to call it acts of terrorism, acts of economic terrorism, has been happening for decades. It's been happening for decades, but still we find ourselves in a position where the foxes are going to get paid to figure out now why do these chickens keep coming up missing? Man, here's a couple million over here for you to figure out from your angle. Here's a couple million over there for you to figure out from your angle why these chickens keep missing, as I'm picking feathers out of my mouth.
I'm telling you, bro, they better be glad I don't have the Infinity Stones. I'm telling you, I'd snap it away. Hey, B1AG family, please like and share this, because we got to get this out here, dog. Because I mean, at the end of the day, when we look at this plight that our Black farmers are going through, and we see the plays that they're running, and the fakes, and the false steps, and the fake steps, and the false starts, no starts, these are the same plays that they're running outside of agriculture in our lives too. They're running the same plays. They're doing the same thing. They're doing a lot of talking, a lot of empty words, a lot of promises. Yes, this is a great historical day, press releases, you know, feel good pictures, feel good stories, and then it's back to the same old, same old.
You know, once again, sticking to code, we think about what's going on now. So the news has been broadcasted that LeBron went on and took that step. He went and met with Dr. Jabinski. Then on the other side, we see Kyrie Irving catching a lot of heat, you know, from a lot of people that the melanated community looked at as leaders. And he's simply asking questions. I was looking at his press, interview the other day. He did it virtually very respectful. Wasn't contentious. He wasn't talking about conspiracy theories. But saying that to say, and we're tying this to this agricultural conversation. A lot of times, not all the times, but a lot of times we assume, and when they make these committees, a lot of us assume that there's going to be some black leader that, okay, I can just kind of post up in my house, you know, wherever I'm at, and then there's going to be some strong black person that's going to come and speak up. There's going to be some black person that's going to tell these people what it is, and it's going to be resolved. But I'm going to the United Independent Compensatory Code System and Concept by the elder Neely Fuller. This is page 200 in the area of politics. This is people relations. And this is what he says about black leaders. Black spokesperson, in quotes, is a black person who says things about what is being done and what should or not be done with regard to black people or anything. A white person who leads not only says, but does whatever he or she chooses to do with regard to black people. According to the compensatory counter-racist logic, the basic qualifications of black leaders as follows. A black leader, in quote, must know and understand what white supremacy racism is, how it works in all areas of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, war, and counter-war. A black leader must not be subject to the system of white supremacy, either directly or indirectly, in any area of activity. A black leader must be ready, willing, and able to protect all of his or her followers. You know, here at B1AG, we have many theories, but we do believe in the concept of sticking to a code. We understand that the code is the leader. You know, when we put any individual, LeBron James is just the most recent example of, okay, this got to be like the greatest, most popular black male in the world. He's a billionaire. And in our minds, we assume, okay, Jay-Z, you know, all of these people we look at as, okay, this is a voice that's speaking for us. I want the melanated family to take these caricatures that we see as you know, well-to-do black males or individuals and apply this to the agricultural community when it comes to black people. When you're in a system where, okay, I want to grow my food. I'm 2-3 generations into this. I know what I'm doing. And you know, you appoint me to your committee, I'll come and tell you everything you've done to my family, my ancestors over the last few decades. But if it boils down to I'm the only one sitting at this table, it makes me think about the congressional hearing they had earlier this year. And I mean, it pains me to see, you know, these melanated people. I think about the elder Shirley Sherrod, John Boyd, bleeding their heart like, hey, y'all, this is what's going on. This is what we need. And when you see the news the day after, it's going, oh, this was the first time ever that these black folks was able to come and give their grievance to Congress. And that's touted as success. It's touted as something that was done. And these people can go back to their offices, to their farms, and give 120% of their effort. But what happens is, okay, I'm going to need a market to sell my products. I just went and told these white people what it is. And this goes back to Neely Fuller's concept. I told you what the problem was. I told you what needs to be done. But ultimately, I know if I'm going to get a subsidy because I don't have a community that values what I do. You know, I got a handful of people that might click like on Instagram or Facebook, you know, if they see a cute article. But when it comes to their dollars, it's not like I got a groundswell of melanated people who's going to support my operation. I mean, I want to help my people. Think about LeBron. I want to help my people, but I'm bound to, I don't know what all endorsements he has, but some of these contracts make you a slave. You know, we're not here to throw shade on anybody more so than really contextualize why not only talking about this B1AG concept of getting a seed in the ground is important. This has to become a part of our daily culture. This isn't a cute story. This isn't a cute topic that, oh, we talk about it today. Oh, that was great. Oh, this is cool. And then on to the next. The same way that there's gene therapies going on with the way the body reacts to, external viruses, we have to do an internal gene therapy, a grassroots gene therapy in our relationship with agriculture, because we see that the agencies, the governmental factions that are charged with addressing these issues, you could say benign neglect. You could say benign neglect. Part of my mind says this is an attack on not only people's intelligence, but on economics. Like I said, you can't separate agriculture from all other areas of activity. I remember the elder Neely Fuller was talking because somebody asked him, where does farming and growing food fit into the code? And he's like, it fits in with everything. You can't separate it, because if you're not eating, guess what? None of these other areas of human activity are involved. And so for us to be the family, the group, I don't even use that minority word, because we're not minorities. That's a mental construct. But we see that in all of these efforts to address this problem, we keep getting the short end of the stick. At some point, it is going to have to be a grassroots, intentional effort on our end. Not one individual, not an organization, not an agency, not a group, not a black caucus. It's going to have to be an individual value, because when you value something, you protect it. That was another one of his principles. A black leader must be ready, willing, and able to protect his followers. And so we see LeBron can't protect nothing, right? The Congressional Black Caucus, I imagine them biscuits taste good. They don't want to give these biscuits up, because if I give these biscuits up, then that means I have to eat this slop with the rest of them melanated people. And for what? And I'm not throwing shade on them, more so than it is what it is. A lot of people give up a lot. Unfortunately, some people give up their souls to be in some of these positions of perceived power. We're in a day and age where we have a lot of information now. Once you understand the backstories of how people get to certain positions, it's never taken away somebody's work. People are good at what they do, whether it's politics, whether it's sports, whether it's producing. But you lose a piece of yourself trying to operate in a hen house that already has a system in place where the foxes can literally just come down and pluck the chicks, pluck the hens at will. And so it has to be a thing of the chickens. And I don't like to refer to the melanated family as chickens, but it has to be a priority of those who are being exploited to be like, no, okay, I see the building as it's set up is set up for these foxes or the predator to keep coming down and just taking what they want at will. And so what are we willing to do? Outside of telling them what they're doing wrong, or outside of asking them what are they going to do to fix this problem, what are we going to do? We got these beaks. I don't know if you've ever cornered a chicken. They can be, think about cockfighting. Every organism that exists on this planet has some sort of adaptive trait that at least gives it a fighting chance to survive in whatever ecosystem or atmosphere it's in. But it has to value survival. When we talk about B1AG, when we talk about agriculture, when we talk about protecting black producers, it's not a romanticized concept. This is a codified strategic. If you want to frame it as war, because we are prisoners of war, family, you have to do something, and you have to eat to do the thing that you want to do. One of the most codified things in my I've been called delusional mind is protecting those who are already producing. Because upon protecting them, guess what we now have? We have a group of people who can teach us not only how to grow the food they grow, but glean information from them how to grow our own food, how to prepare our own seeds, our offsprings, our communities, our children to produce their food. So we don't continue this cycle of kicking the can down the road.
It's definitely, you can't make rules when you're in somebody else's hen house. So B1AG family, it's time that we build our own hen house. It's time that we, the little land that we have left, we do need to become codified and really focus on optimizing the production on that land to feed ourselves. Because we already see they have a lot of plans and doing a lot of studies on testing the food and different ways to manipulate the food that they feed us. And we see fighting for a seat at the table while we're trying to fight for an equitable seat at this table, this proverbial dinner table. They'd just rather study and talk about, well, how can we let them sit down at the table instead of just pulling out the chair? We can't depend on them to eat, y'all. We all have to eat. We all need to put those seeds in the ground and grow our own food. I'm looking forward to hopefully Miss Moffitt, because her backyard, she refers to her backyard as a backyard grocery store. And we want to bring that to you just to show you and really show you the possibilities of just having a so-called little garden in your backyard. You know, it can really produce a lot of food. You can supplement a lot of your diet. Just think about having a grocery store in your backyard. Try to conceptualize that. Every time you think about going to the grocery store, you just go to your backyard. Again, we've been fighting for this seat at the proverbial dinner table. This government and these agencies are showing that they'd rather pay themselves billions and millions of dollars to study and talk about, well, how can we what have we done? Why have we not let these people sit at this table? How have we not? Let's just study and talk about it instead of just pulling out the doggone chair and letting people sit down and eat.
How long are you going to let your stomach grumble waiting for somebody to offer you a seat at the table?
Boy, they better hope I don't find them infinity stones, bro. I'm telling you.
You know, we're having this conversation, and I'm saying this in all sincerity. We have never been in a better place to take some of these necessary steps. I keep repeating Dr. Claude Anderson. Sometimes it takes the pain to get something out of people. A weightlifter does not get strong without some form of resistance in the form of weights. A runner, guess what? You got to run till you're exhausted, right? Until you get that leg strength. Sometimes it takes pain to get the best out of yourselves. The Most High works in mysterious ways. Sometimes if y'all don't want to take this upon yourself, I'm gonna send this people that think there's something, and I'm gonna send them as the whipping paddle to get my people in shape. I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the Most High, and like I said, it works in mysterious ways, and we've been fearfully and wonderfully made. This situation we find ourselves in Turtle Island, or whatever we want to call it, this hadn't been forever. This is relatively a small amount of time compared to how long our ancestors have been here. We happen to be in that stage where I need y'all to do something now. These people that I allowed the time and space to play supreme, play dictator, it's running out because they're destroying my planet now. And so, you're not going to ask the fox to make a more sustainable hen house, because in a fox's mind, the sustainable hen house is it's easier for me to come down and pluck these chickens. As the chickens, you understand, okay, we're wanting to perpetuate as a species. There's more to chicken life than just laying eggs for something to come and eat. There was an ecological reason why fowl, FOWL, were created, air, in the ground, right? So saying that to say there's a reason why the melanated family was put here. We like to embrace our ancient history of Kemet, Al-Kebalan. We like to embrace our Aboriginal. Good morning, sister. We look forward to talking about that backyard grocery store. We like to embrace the history of what our ancestors did. Many of us, I ain't gonna say like to talk about, but we talk about the struggles that our ancestors had. And I tell you, family, every morning I wake up, I try not to be a spiteful or negative person, but it eats at my heart when I think about, man, how many people have I come from? How many people's loins and wombs have I come from that had to deal with this. You know, how many people, you know, week to week, you think, okay, something's going to change. Somebody just came to me and said, okay, hey, I'm going to sit and discuss this problem, and maybe tomorrow I'll have a solution for you. And you'll spend a whole lifetime waiting for somebody to fix it, and then you decease, you transition, and nothing ever happened. And all you know is, okay, I left offspring that I care about, and they have to deal with this same thing. How long are we going to let this dynamic keep going on? We see that the governor of New York, the replacement governor of New York, said, I need y'all to be apostles. You know, the Most High, she didn't say Most High. She said, God sent this therapy down. You know, he put it in the minds of the scientists to create this therapy. And so y'all know who aren't getting this therapy. So I need y'all to go out and be apostles. And so once again, codified is, you know, follow those who are successful. So she's done something to get to that position to even have that confidence to say that. And so can we become apostles of producing? Can we become apostles of feeding one another? There's no leader to grovel to. You know, there's no sign-in sheet you got to fill out. There's no, you know, nobody's taking numbers on that. Now, how many people showed up so I can mark this minority box and say, oh, yeah, we had X amount of people participate in this program. Oh, yeah, we've served X amount of minorities. You know, these poor, lowly minorities that can't do. I can't stress enough, we are in our finest hour. Peace to the sister, Vicky Dillard. We are in our finest hour, as daunting as it seems, as confusing as it seems. We see medical, healthcare workers who last year these are the heroes. And we see these same heroes being fired for certain personal decisions they're deciding to make. And so at some point, that spirit of discernment got to be triggered and realize, okay, maybe this ain't about health. Maybe this is a power move. And we're not talking about Illuminati or some secret society. You know, the truth is revealed, and we as individuals, as families, as communities, as groups, as organizations, we have internal choices to decide. Now, am I going to acquiesce to something that is showing me consistently that I have no interest in letting up my stance? I'm going to continue to kick this can down the road. I'm going to continue to throw everybody else in this box of what I owe you. I borrowed a planet from you. I borrowed some land from you. But, okay, and you starting to wake up to ask me about this land I borrowed from you forcefully. But let me share it with all these other people too. Because I at the end of the day, I don't have I have fiat. I have digital. I have all these other forms of currency that don't add up to what I took from you. And so we know the mindset of some people is, since I know I can't pay you back, I'm going to just kick this can down the road as long as possible. I'm going to bring in all of these middlemen. I'm going to bring in all these buffers to take away. And we as melanated people, we know we're not as savage as those that keep perpetuating this sick cycle. The most gangster thing we can do, one of the most strategic, warlike things we can do, is learning how to feed ourselves honestly, intentionally. This is something I care about. When I wake up in the morning, I know I'm going to learn how to produce something. I know I'm going to learn some space within this broad concept of agriculture to get food from seed to table to those that need it the most. To the degree we learn to do for self, guess what? It doesn't matter what somebody else says. It doesn't matter what somebody else got up their sleeve. If we can feed ourselves, and we can do all the other things in human activity on our accord.
And all it takes is one seed, one cup, very little, just a little soil, a little water, a little sunshine, a little care.
Faith of a mustard seed. If you can just have the faith of a mustard seed.
It just, I'm going to say this and I'm going to be done with it, Farmer Brown. They want to spend $1 billion on this equity commission. Oh, this is a historical day at the USDA. Why don't you take that $1 billion and give it to the black farmers? Why don't you take the $1 billion and put it towards the operations of these black farmers? You have all these other farmers on the West Coast who can't produce because of the climate change, because of wildfires. We're coming up on harvest season. That food is not going to be available. It's like common sense. Inject this money, these funds into the farmers that need it so they can produce more for the whole. If they won't do it, family, we've got to, just to make sure that we've got to eat, because they are not pulling out the chair for us at the dinner table. They're not. So let's create our own grand harvest, our own table. I like collard greens anyway. They can keep that kale.
Right.
So it's amazing. It's amazing when I see stories like this, and I see the government, the USDA, you know, again, that proverbial kick the can. Yeah, I'm gonna act like I'm doing something. Yeah, I'm gonna act like I'm doing something. They come out and tell you, yeah, we're gonna study. We're gonna come up with all these commissions and committees to figure out how we can not be discriminatory instead of just not being discriminatory. I got an economics degree from the University of Kentucky, but it don't take all that to understand what they're doing at all. And it makes me mad.
You know, how many of the melanated family even knew that this was a thing? You know, we're weirdos. We kind of spend our time looking for these things, right? There's a certain level of weirdness you have to have, right? But it's hidden in plain sight. Magic only works when you're honest. Now, if I can distract you with all of these other things, bread and circus, cool. But my magic's going to work because I told y'all the truth. I told you about all the things I'm doing. Now, if y'all think it's crazy, if y'all think it's delusional, if y'all think it's conspiratorial, oh, that's something that somebody else handled, that's on y'all. But I told you. Didn't know and you wouldn't know. You know, we're not going to see this in our feeds. We're not going to see this in our news feeds. We're always going to see the worst images of ourselves. And that is by design. Psychology is a big part of this whole thing. Absolutely. Because when we say studying, where else have we heard this word studying? Reparative justice, reparations. And so this is one of the reasons, like, okay, we don't expect everybody, you know, all the melanated family to just embrace agriculture, though in a utopian world we would. But it's like, if you can't understand the plight of the producers and the melanated community, what chance do us consumers have? If this is the way, you know, the group that we're wanting these reparations from are the same ones who's doing this study for the producers. And so what can the consumers expect? And so it's almost this law of compensation. Okay, if I can support those who are producing as an individual in whatever small way, I can support a black farmer just by telling my kids the importance of a black farmer, right? Maybe I don't have extra money to purchase a CSA subscription from a local farmer. You know, maybe I don't have immediate access to one. But when we're talking about this concept of gene therapy, you have to massage things into the genes. You know, we have to give these booster shots of consciousness to our melanated family. That, hey, we are producers. Regardless of these images that we see, absolutely. And the Most High put us in the garden. I like to do basic math. I'm a horrible mathematician, but I understand, okay, the strongest you can be is at your original point. That 0 point, you know, when this melanated thing that we see in the mirror came about, it was in a garden setting. You can call it Eden. I don't know what you want to call it, but there weren't these big buildings. There wasn't no grocery stores. It was a garden. It was somewhere that had to be tended to. It was somewhere that we had to be stewards of, right? And to the degree that we get back to that, that's that power. That's that power over what you want to do with your day. That's that power over what do I want to build? You know, how do I want to manifest this huge canvas of existence that we find ourselves on this plane? And it starts with a seed. When you understand the seed, then so many other things grow from that, family.
So let's continue to grow this conversation. Let's continue to grow this B1AG conversation. Like and share, like and share, like and share. Subscribe to B1AG Daily Bread Podcast on YouTube. You can also check us out at the Black Boss channel. Let's get this word out. Let's encourage our youth to get more involved with agriculture. If you just go get your kids, your nieces, your nephews, your little cousins, if you just go get a pack of sunflower seeds, some styrofoam cups, and a bag of dirt, and just get them to plant it and water it and pay attention and watch it grow. Let them know how this process works. Go to healthyblackfood.com. We teach you how to grow your own food. We're trying to teach you how to become more sustainable, to get back to that God-given power to sustain yourself. There's a lot of power to be gained when you can refuel yourself. If you did not have to go to the gas station and gas up your car, do you know how much power that is? Can you see how much power that is? If you ain't have to clock in on this job to refuel this fiat currency in your pocket to pay bills, do you know how much power that is? If you don't have to go to a grocery store or worry about some a card to swipe to get your food, do you understand how much power that is? Because at the end of the day, they can cut all these points of access off. And they're doing that now. So let's regain this power as a human, as a people, as a community. Farmer Brown talked about a lot today. Seems like these folks love to kick the can, man. I'm surprised their toes ain't fell off. They've been kicking this can so long, I'm surprised their toes ain't fell off yet.
They're going to get tetanus because this can is rusted. It's an old can.
Man. So, but we all know at the end of the day, if you really want to know something, real knowledge, real power, if you really want to know something, what does the family need to do?
Really want to know something? Let's tap into the Most High and let's learn how to grow something.
Dial in, dial in, dial in. Thank y'all for watching. Like, share, subscribe, pass the word on. Let's grow this conversation. Let's grow this conversation. We got to get black to the garden. We got to get back into the dirt. We got, these rappers always talking about they get it from the dirt, get it from the mud. We got to get back to it. Because they're trying to make everything digital. And we can't forget that same dirt is what made us. It's in us. It's in our DNA. Dirt and stardust. Let's get back to it. B1AG. I'm John Henry Harris. Farmer Brown MC. See you next time.